All right, so let's bring in John Allen, CNN Senior Vatican Analyst, and Father Edward Beck, CNN Contributor. Gentlemen, I know that you have been working very hard and around the clock, so we really appreciate your time this morning. So let's talk about this selection. It was a very swift selection, and I know we've chatted a lot about that. But this particular, when he was cardinal, appealed to two different voting blocs that were in that room. Let's talk about that appeal, because some are known as reformers, and the other one, they're pretty much the status quo within the Roman Catholic Church. So, John, I'm going to start with you. How is it possible that he can appeal to both sides?
Well, I actually think there were at least three blocs in the College of Cardinals to whom Cardinal Bergoglio, now Pope Francis, appealed. One would be those cardinals who wanted to elect a pope from outside the West to somehow put a face on that burgeoning Catholic footprint. 2/3 of the 1.2 billion Catholics in the world live outside the West. I think the second current would be those who wanted a pope who could speak for the aspirations of the world's poor and for the peace and justice tradition that is so much at the heart of Catholic social teaching. And then finally, there would be those cardinals, a good number of them among those 115, who wanted to shake things up in the Vatican, who thought there was an old guard that was too wedded to traditional ways of doing business, and they wanted an outsider to give it a new lease on life. Of course, Cardinal Bergoglio, now Pope Francis, has never worked in the Vatican a day in his life. He's been in the trenches in Buenos Aires in Argentina, running a complex archdiocese there. And so you wrap all that up. I don't think it's that hard to figure out how he got to those magic 77 votes that represented 2/3 of this voting bloc, Sarita.
So, Father Beck, we didn't know much about this man. We're learning a lot about him and the name that he chose and what a humble man he is. So when you look at all the pomp and circumstance of the Vatican, how is he going to be able to reconcile that with the life that he has led so far?
Well, I was thinking that a lot of people were hoping that the 115 cardinals would elect Jesus Christ with an MBA and a law degree, but he simply wasn't in the room. 115 flawed men were in that room, and they elected Pope Francis. A little historical perspective, we're sitting yards away from where the first pope was crucified upside down, St. Peter. And Jesus said, "Peter, you're rock, and on you I will build my church." But let's remember, that was a cracked rock. Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times, the first pope and a saint. So now we have Pope Francis, who may have had some things people don't like, but this is a humble man who walked out on that balcony and said, "I want you first to pray for me before I can pray for you." I mean, this is an amazing testimony. This is the man who supposedly gave up his palace where he was living to live in a simple apartment because he wanted to be more of the common person. He rode the bus rather than be chauffeured in his vehicle.
So you wonder how
his parishioners.
So then you wonder how he's going to be able to deal with, the new life as a pope, which, people kiss his ring. But let's move on. Let's talk about these flaws, because this particular man is accused of failing to stand up to the military dictatorship in Argentina. This was back in the 70s when 30,000 people disappeared or were killed in the dirty war. So how is this legacy that is following him going to affect him now that he's pope? I'm asking that question to you, John Allen.
Well, listen, I think in the days to come, people are going to be digging extensively into the new pope's background, and certainly his relationship to the military junta in Argentina will come up. Whenever Cardinal Bergoglio, now Pope Francis, has been asked that question, he has always insisted he was foursquare against the military dictatorship and on the side of those who were being squelched by it. However, what he resisted was what he thought was an over-politicization of the church. That is, he didn't want to see particularly priests getting directly involved in partisan politics, because his argument was the best way to save that society was by preaching the gospel and promoting a change of heart and mind, because only unless the individual heart changes can the social structures change. Now, not everyone accepted that choice, but Sarita, I don't think once this dig is over there's going to be any serious case that he was an apologist for that dictatorship.
All right. We're going to check back in with you guys, let you continue talking about our new pope and what we can expect for the Roman Catholic Church. Father Edward Beck, CNN contributor, and John Allen, CNN Senior Vatican Analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen.